Hello, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me okay. Thumbs up, Kim? Kim? Yes, thumbs up from Kim. That's all I ever wanted in life. So it's Dieter. I'm here. I encourage folks to ask questions. There we go. Excellent. I like to see more than one. That's very good. So I'll start with the top one there, and then we'll see which other ones come in, and you can vote. I think on the UI it looks like there's thumbs up. So if there's anything you want to highlight and make sure I get to it, please give it the thumbs up. So what are the top priorities for the core team? So we're talking a lot about this right now. And I think the number one that's going to resonate a lot with the people in this room is getting to what we call stable cadence. And that's a version of cadence that we're comfortable supporting long term, and which has been fully security hardened so that we don't need to require security reviews anymore. That is going to take a while, and I would love everyone in this who's listening to me here to participate when we are doing our security reviews. We already have a bug bounty program, but we're going to be bringing a lot more attention on that. So if anyone wants to participate in that or wishes to bring folks in to the Flowverse who might have a bit of a security bent, we hope that you'll bring them in. And so that's going to be the number one thing. I think it's the number one blocker for people feeling like they can build freely on Flow. And I think it's going to allow for a lot more teams to come in and realize what an open system we're trying to build here. The next one, any plans to see a complete DeFi ecosystem? I mean, DeFi is something that I think is interesting. I think that Flow has certainly, I assume most of you have a good sense of cadence. I think cadence is very well suited to support DeFi. It was designed as something that could be used for all sorts of things. It's not our number one focus in terms of things that we want to promote and encourage. But that doesn't mean we want to discourage it. I don't want to make it seem like we're like anti-DeFi or anything like that. It's important to remember that Flow and Dapper Labs really came from the mindset of let's bring consumers into this. And I think DeFi is something that is still pretty baffling to consumers. And so we don't think it's sort of the most important thing for us to focus on. But we love to see people in the community building stuff in terms of DeFi, and we'd happy to support anyone who's working on that. And I think that there's lots of really interesting stuff in DeFi. So I think we'll see that. But we're going to definitely be focusing on games and entertainment primarily. And I think DeFi is something that can support those things. And what you'll see us do is put our most energy into DeFi projects that can support that sort of thing. So, group buys of NFTs and things like that. What's Flow's take on metaverse? Well, I don't want to speak for Flow or even Dapper Labs, so I'll just say what my take on metaverse is. I think metaverse is a word that a lot of people bring a lot of baggage to. I know some people think of it as distinctly being, VR headset. You go and you interact sort of Second Life style, but in VR. Other people take a more abstract view of metaverse. All I know is that a metaverse that's owned by a corporation sounds like dystopia to me, sounds like hell to me. And so I think that it's absolutely critical that we're building decentralized systems that can support the, even just simple things like, asset management and whatnot. And so to me, I don't know what metaverse is going to be. I think there's lots of people in the world that are going to try and move it in various directions. But whatever it is, whatever sort of deserves that notion of a place where we live, I think that it has to be based on decentralized technology. Otherwise, it's just going to be a really terrible place where we end up just living with ads and rent extractors. When will we be able to freely deploy to mainnet? Yeah, that's all about getting stable cadence out the door. So stable cadence is about two big things. One is just getting a formal security review and drawing a lot of attention in the community to a particular version of the code and making sure it's security hardened. One of the I don't think anyone here wants there to be a high profile exploit on Flow. I don't think that's good for the protocol. I don't think that's good for the community. And so we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can. The other big thing that stable cadence is about is potentially, and we'll try and get some GitHub issues up in the next little while, but potentially make some breaking changes to the language. I think based on your experience, based on our own experience with cadence, in that first sort of year of people, a lot of people using it, with intention or in anger, as they say. I think we've learned a few things that we can improve in the language. And some of them, and I'll call out here the way that capabilities work and the syntax around capabilities is pretty awkward. And I think capabilities are an important feature of Cadence that we want more people to use, and making it awkward to use them is not a good way to do that. And so we may want to change that. And so we're in a unique time right now where, because everyone's had a security review that's deployed on mainnet, we can actually contact y'all and work with you to update your smart contracts. And that'll never be true after we have permissionless deployment. And so we may take the opportunity to do that. Again, I think the community is going to be very helpful in deciding exactly which of those changes we want to make and sort of which are worth the effort. Because I think, obviously making breaking changes is frustrating to everyone. But I think that there's some important areas of Cadence that we can improve easily if we're willing to break a few areas of backwards compatibility. The next one is, what will be the biggest drivers of Flow adoption? I think it's always it's a weird cycle, right? The developers go where the users are, the users go where the apps are, and obviously it takes developers to build apps. Our goal with Top Shot and now upcoming NFL and Liga projects was to try and bootstrap that cycle. And of course, one of the biggest issues we have right now is that Dapper doesn't have a great way of pushing its users out to other dApps. That's a massive focus for that team, and something that we're going to be working on a lot more in the next little while. But I think ultimately, it is content. It is applications. It's the stuff that either the people in this call are building, or the people who are using the tools created by the people in this call are building. And I think that at the end of the day, the technology is only as good as its use cases, and it will only make sense to people when they have something that is interesting enough for them to make the effort to learn it. And we saw that with CryptoKitties, we saw that with Top Shot, and we're seeing it with some of the apps in the Flow community, and I think there'll just be more of those as time goes on. So I think the biggest driver is interesting stuff for people to do, and so we just did our best to make sure that the platform is capable of creating interesting stuff. Any ETA on when 1076 will be implemented? That is almost certainly going to become a part of stable cadence. I don't want to say anything beyond that. We had a really important performance fix that needed to go in to Cadence, how Cadence did its serialization under the hood. And the whole Cadence team was all hands on deck to make sure that was out. But I think that internally the team likes that feature, wants to implement it. So I don't want to promise any particular date, but I don't think it'll be very long. Favorite book or blog on blockchain, crypto, and NFTs? This is like the geekiest possible answer, and I apologize. This is what you get when you ask a protocol designer what his favorite crypto content is. It's the Tendermint paper, Tendermint consensus algorithm. It's incredibly well written. It's an incredibly beautiful algorithm. It's very simple. There's nothing in it that isn't necessary. And understanding Tendermint will have you understanding consensus. I found it incredibly formative when I read it in 2018, and it. I don't know, maybe I'm overstating it. Maybe no one else will have the same impact, but like for me, going to that paper and it took a few reads and a lot of thinking and some great conversations with Alex Henschel, who's the lead architect on Flow, for me to truly internalize it. But I think that if you can grok with, if you can pick up what they're putting down in that paper, you'll have a much better sense of both what's possible in terms of decentralized systems, as well as why it's hard. And I think it's and again, like I said, it's really well written. It's an academic paper, but it's not academic-y, and it's easy to read.